Welcome to Seated with Strangers. This season, we're exploring the topic of unsubscribing from pop culture and social norms. My name is Erica Reid, and I'm seated with Jocelyn Boyer and Taylor Phillips. On today's episode, we'll be talking about unsubscribing from the American dream.
What is the American dream, and is it even real? So what are your thoughts?
I actually look it up because I was like, I don't really know what the American dream is,
Yeah.
So I had to look it up and then I had to like go into extra research because I'm that person to go in a rabbit hole
Yeah.
and I was like, well, a lot of millennials don't believe in it. Like only 50% believe in the American dream. So I was like, well, what is it? And it's like about the success and back in the 50s, it was like getting a home, getting a family, and I was like, well, that really isn't my dream. So I looked up like 2020, and it was like it really is just creating your own path. So I was like, okay, I think I can believe in it now. So that's how I feel about it. It's believable. It's not equal, but it's believable.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Erica, because initially I was thinking like that traditional American dream, as far as like you were saying, more in a 50s, 60s mindset of like job that you've been in for extended amount of, time to get that retirement and whatnot, and you have your family and, home and white picket fence. But then in thinking just about how things have shifted over the past, I would even say like 2 to 5 years, and really kind of nurturing that creativity and passion of individuals, and it not being a, more, I guess, corporate, mindset of being with a company, but more so what makes you happy and what can you kind of, those passions that you have, it might sound bad, but monetize them to, create a lifestyle to have that dream that's specifically for you. So I definitely think it's shifted, but I want to have the hope that it still exists and that we're able to, kind of create our own individual American dream and that it looked different from absolutely everybody.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with you, Erica. I had to look it up too because I'm like, you hear about it in school. I mean, I feel like I heard about it all the time, reading like all of the history books and different things like that. And, it was based on having a family and what was important then, and if you look at what history was, it was land. That was a major thing of, you made it when you had your own house, you had your land to work on, and then you were making enough money to be able to live a lifestyle that was fun, or something that could support your family well. And it's just interesting to think how much it's adapted and changed over the course of time. But I do feel like it still is very much real, whether it's something that we are very well aware of or it's just something that we're like, oh, we're going on in our life. It's still very much a thing because, like both of you have said, it's adapted and changed over the course of time. And now, like Jocelyn said, it's monetizing your dream in essence. It's getting out there in the forefront and making things happen, and it's an ability to I really don't like the phrase, but create your own happiness in a sense of being able to really pursue what it is God has told you to do or what you feel called to do in that is essence. I mean, I echo your sentiments, guys' sentiments, and add to it.
I actually like the create your own happiness. I think that had a lot to do with when I was looking it up, and I was like, yeah, that's pretty much how I feel my American dream is today, is creating my own path, creating my own happiness. I don't think it really is. And it's sad because you really want to have a standard or something so people can have a go by. But
Right.
I mean, I think now today, do we have to have what's the standard? What is the standard? Because then you kind of get boxed in, and I don't think anybody now today really wants to be boxed into any one particular category because we don't really fit in it. Our journeys can be different, and to me, that can be the American dream.
I'm sorry, Eric, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
I think though that you guys hit on it, like that standard is now happiness. Like no one wants to go somewhere for 40 hours a week and be miserable, because that then can catapult and create a ripple effect, affecting your health, affecting your family well-being. I think come to the point of what makes you truly happy, because you're going to perform better. You're going to have a better drive to try to, be successful. It just really, I do think that, like you said, Erica, even though you don't want to have like that word of what's the standard, because someone
Mhm.
can, get in the mindset of, oh, it has to look like someone else. But if that overall goal is happiness, whatever it looks like for you, because for someone it could be, like you said, Taylor, having some land and cultivating that to make a livelihood for you and your family, or it could be creating in a different way. So but
Yeah.
I think that overall happiness is so important, and the pandemic really, at least for me, put it in perspective of, I don't want to waste time doing something that isn't fulfilling, you
Yeah.
know?
Right.
Well, and that, I mean, that makes sense. And, I kind of have two thoughts to that. And the first is like, I feel like the echoing theme is the freedom to pursue,
Mhm.
the freedom to pursue whatever it is. And, the whole idea, I guess the concept around creating your own happiness is I just sometimes, the way that I've seen it in a lot of places unfold is it's really just this selfish endeavor of I'm going to pursue all these things at whatever cost it looks like, whatever cost it means, no matter who's in front of me, whoever I have to knock down, instead of like just really this servant based mindset of, I'm going to pursue whatever it is so that I can help others pursue what they want, that kind of thing. And so when I say I don't really like the phrase create your own happiness, it's a lot of it is due to seeing some of those things and from a negative
Do you think
perspective.
that it changes with like generation, like this idea of the American dream changes with generations? Because I feel like it changes throughout the generations based off of what's going on in our country today. Where
Oh yeah.
like getting a home, I mean that's great and everything, but I think like for a lot of us, we want a home, but like homes cost a lot right now. I'm in DC, so
Yeah.
like homes cost a lot, but who I might want to live in a high rise. It's a little different. Like I feel like it changes uh throughout our maybe decades or even generations. Because when you're saying the pursuit of happiness and the backstabbing, it made me, no offense to people in the 80s, but it made me think about like the firm and like
Yeah.
those different pursuit of happiness where
Mhm.
they didn't match the 50s. So I feel
Yeah,
like
I
it
definitely think
changed.
it does. Yeah, I mean, because you think about it, it was like, you know, in the days when the American dream was like the main focus, it was like, like we've said before, having a family, moms working from home, raising the kids, having a farm, family being really close, and that kind of turned into really business focused and having a good job and climbing the ladder. And now I feel like it's just all solo entrepreneur focused, everybody having a business. So anyway.
So it'll be interesting to see like how it continues to evolve, and what, like the younger generations, what their idea of the American dream will be after, having some experience and seeing things change. Would you guys say that the American dream is only for one group of people?
I think I don't think it's equal. I think it's possible for everyone, but I don't think that the starting line for everyone is equal. You can think of just any demographics. If you think of on the lines of education, gender, race, there are a lot of things that can come into play that can either put you at the 50-yard line, or I'm saying I'm putting in race, track and football all together, but you could be, let's go with football, 50-yard line.
It's the American sport.
Yeah, the American sport. Okay. So yeah, I'm terrible with sports, but you get what I'm saying as far as like, some people have a better advantage. If you think about it, just with even if you think on the lines of even money with school systems and people paying for college, they come out with a lot of debt just to try to pursue this quote unquote happiness or dream that they're trying to pursue, and now they're like $50,000 in debt.
Yeah.
So you think of those. I think everybody has the capability of achieving it, but I don't think it's equal.
Yeah. I would agree.
I was gonna kind of elaborate on what you were saying, Erica, as far as also thinking like based on your upbringing, because again, Taylor, how you mentioned like in a certain time period, it was the land, it was the home, and then it's evolved. And so I also think you then have the influence of your upbringing. And so if, we were to look at racially, For white Americans, the American dream could be one thing, where for African Americans, it could be something else. And again, just based on, if you look at those two types of families in the 50s or 60s, even though, like you
It
said,
was
Eric,
drastically different.
they're starting at two different points, and that is then also going to affect what that looks like for them, as well as their experiences. Their experiences are going to play a part in that too.
Mhm.
So I think it's definitely not for just one group of people, but it by far is just varied from, each group that would find themselves trying to obtain that dream.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. It's hard to, I mean, it's hard to put into perspective and think about, whether or not it's only for one group of people, because I guess it depends on the group that you're talking about.
Mhm.
And how a group is defined. Is it social status? Is it race? Is it, is what is it? What's the group that's being referred to? I agree with you guys. I mean, I do believe that it's attainable and achievable for everybody. But like you said, Erica, I mean, it's very much not equal, because I mean, you can even put it in a rural and city perspective too, of what opportunities are afforded for those in rural communities. Because I live in a rural community, but there's not a lot available.
I do have as far as like what you were saying, it's interesting that you think about like, when the question was asked, you always think, what was that American dream? What is it? And you, like you said, as far as it being rural or being a different, even being from a different city, that can make it a little different as far as mixing it up. I never even probably looked at it that way. That this dream could vary so drastically in a sense. And that we probably all want something totally different. But if you are clumped into this, like city people might want to have that high rise building, where if you live in a rural area, you might want land. So it could be different. Yeah, that is interesting too. Interesting take. The next question is talking about like the celebrities like Baby Blue and others who have been charged with like PPP loan frauds and sentenced to jail time. Are people trying to keep up with the American dream, or these influencers are the influencers the new Joneses, should we say?
Oh yeah,
That's just
absolutely. I mean, absolutely. And I feel like it's just magnified because of social media. Like,
oh yeah,
you can see what someone around the world is doing, as opposed to, prior to social media, it was more so just like your community, your school, your church, or
Right.
whatever was, I don't want to say like immediately obtainable, but it was right there, as opposed to now, like I said, you can see someone from around the world who's an influencer, and now you want to, strive to be like them. But yeah, the whole PP loan fraud, like, it's just not worth it.
yeah.
Not going to jail. I guess it's just as you get older, at least as you hope as you get older, because Baby Blue is older and he obviously is not getting it. But just becoming content with what you have and not trying to like fake it. I know there's the saying of fake it till you make it for things, but not if it's gonna cost you at that level. Like what is you keeping up? What does that actually do for you, aside from probably put you in debt or possibly jail, like Baby Blue?
Right.
It's what is really the gain for trying to keep up with someone who might be I don't want to put it as like a class thing of like rich and poor, but who might be, outside of what your
Social
current
status.
situation. Yeah, your current situation. Yeah.
I just feel like it's like, to me, when it comes to social media and I think about influencers, I only can see, I'm not seeing the bird's eye view, or I'm not seeing the full view. I'm only looking through a peephole into a room. So I only see one spot in the room, one perspective of this room. So I can't say what it took for them to get this picture or this photo that they're posting, or this video that they're posting of this Ferrari, which is probably rented. So for me, I had to like take a step back, and when it came to my social media, and find things that I really, really liked, but not try to go down this this path of saying, oh man, this person is doing this and I want to do that. And you get that even with entrepreneurs a lot. You see a lot of postings. It can be motivating, but it also can give you this fake facade of that being an entrepreneur is easy.
Yeah.
And it probably isn't. And so you wind up trying to keep up with something. Exactly right. You know, you're like,
it's not.
Absolutely no. Right. So don't believe the hype is what I could throw out there. But it's like you're looking at this only peephole, but you don't really know what hard work went into it. So it sucks that these people are buying these or getting these PPP loans or doing all kind of fraud, let's call it what it is, to try to keep up with these people that they only see just a small snippet of what's really going on. That sucks.
Yeah. I think I've got, just something that's at the forefront of my mind. Jocelyn, you saying that about just like, what's it worth? And I feel like anymore, in thinking about the American dream, it's all about, like we were talking earlier about how has it changed over the generations, and anymore it's all about social status, who can be the most prevalent and available on social media. But I mean, you think about anymore, what's the cost to pursuing the American dream? Is it worth going to college and getting $50,000 in debt, or is it worth going to get a quote unquote dirty job, whatever, and being able to make 60 grand a year because you're willing to get out and do something that's, not normal, but just thinking about what's the cost. And I feel like anymore, it's all about being visual and whatever it takes to get there. But you don't see very many people sustaining that position. I mean, because something like this always happens because I think it goes much deeper than it's a character issue. And I feel like you get back to the core foundation of the American dream. I mean, there was a lot of character. I do believe there was a lot of character development in the original American dream.
They dismiss the hard work that actually goes into it. Right, the hard work that's entailed in it. Because you're looking at a photo. A 1-minute video. But not on the hard work. Yeah.
Would you guys say that there's an increase of Americans looking to have dual citizenship or even totally relocating somewhere? Why do you think this is, and what's something that you would consider? Or is this something that you would consider?
I probably have a little bit more of a controversial stance on this. Oh man, because I mean, you think about it, like you see it just in the headlines. Some superstar celebrity is like, "Oh, I'm going to move, elsewhere because I'm unhappy with the way this is," and I'm just like, when you stop and think about it, is that not this is the country that afforded them the opportunity to get in the position where they're at, and they're wanting to leave out of dislike for the way, because of something happening in the country. And I'm like, you do realize that America is like the free nation, even if there's still like that, even if it's not equal in a lot of places, there is still a lot of opportunity for people to pursue. But it's like, you do realize that if you go to like Canada or China or something, like, I mean, that's moving to a completely different social status and things like that. And it's like, are you going to have the exact same opportunities? So from my perspective, the negativity side of it, I'm just like, are we just throwing a temper tantrum? But in an opportunity to just live elsewhere, I think it would be cool. I think it just kind of depends on the stance, I guess. That's my personal opinion.
I wasn't even looking at it I was looking at it like, I don't know if I need dual citizenship, but I was looking at it as an adventure.
It's true.
So for me, it wasn't really like, oh, well, I'm leaving because, I don't believe in American dream. It's more so like, wow, I get to learn another culture. I get to learn how they do something. This to be interesting. I always think about like when I'm in the nursing home or I'm sitting at the bus stop telling all my stories of my life, that I can say I lived in another country for such and such many years. So wasn't even looking at it that way. So I think I had to come back and kind of get on what you just said. And because I don't know.
I see totally what you're saying. Like I do, because it's another opportunity to learn something completely different. But I guess I'm just going off the headlines that you see a lot, again, going back to visibility.
So
It's interesting to hear both of you guys, because what I thought about was, like you said, Taylor, kind of the headlines, because I've seen it more specifically in the Black community of people relocating, and it I can't say that it was necessarily celebrities, but it was just I guess they're influencers, because I saw it on like social media. Um, but it was kind of like it was a combination of what you all said. Like in one instance, part of their reason was because let's be upfront about the social injustices that have been happening more so on the forefront these past couple of years, but then also them wanting to experience another culture. So specifically, I've seen a lot of Black Americans moving to Africa to get that kind of
we must follow the same people, but go ahead.
like having the cultural experience. And so it resonated with me because I've never been to Africa, but would love to, because again, it's that inner, like, kind of calling, if you will, of learning that culture that is literally a part of your makeup. And so I definitely, have seen both sides, or both point of views rather, of people kind of wanting that dual citizenship and then just completely outright relocating. So it's interesting. It's like, okay, I could understand like wanting to or hoping that by making that move, you might not see as much racism because you're around a group of people that identify as you do. But then also just immersing yourself in something new and learning and being able to say, if you decide to then come back, or, you still have family here, you're able to share that experience. So it's interesting. I don't know if I would completely relocate, maybe like have a house or a condo somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding.
We must follow the same people, because it's a young lady that's a social media influencer who just moved to Africa. And I was like, I've been to other countries, and I'm like, I've been to one country and I was like, man, I feel like home here. I feel like I'm home. And so I don't think it's always to me, I know it is the social injustice. You do feel like, wow, if I'm not even, in some cases, I don't feel like I even belong here. I'm told all the time that I don't belong here. Then where do I belong? So I can totally understand where you're coming from with that. And then I have been to places where I'm like, man, this feels like I feel like I can do this. So, but more so still with the adventure side of it, like, oh, I get to learn someone else, even if I didn't feel like home, but feel like I want to learn something else. Because you either appreciate how the world operates, or you appreciate America when you travel.
Yeah, and that's true. I was going to say, like, even tapping into that's part of the American dream too, is the freedom to be able to pursue. I mean, if you want to go work in Bali or I don't know, I've seen so many different places where people just like pack up and move for 6 months out of the year and go work in a different country because their job affords them that opportunity, And so it is interesting, just like two different stances, because my thought process was not what yours was, Erica. I mean, like, yeah, I'm an adventurous person, but I think about just like like I said, the headlines and what is all going on there and what's the forefront of what I see and different things like that. So
yeah, because
it is interesting.
I've been places in other countries where I'm like, America need to step their game up. Like
it's true.
We don't, but and I love that, because you find out, unfortunately, I've seen, especially in schools, where they would tell us how a place is, and then you have to go and experience it for yourself and find out. So social media does have a good thing, because you're getting some truth in it somewhere. But you also go to these places and you experience it for yourself, and you're like, wow, this is not what I was taught in school. This is not what they taught me, that this was a poor place and this was terrible. But I see beauty in the culture. I see beauty. The infrastructure is better in some cases. Beauty in the culture, beauty in the people. I mean, of course, everywhere you go, you're going to have problems. So
yeah,
I was going to say that. Yeah.
Because human nature is to separate themselves and divide and to have hierarchy. That's just the nature of humans. So even if I go somewhere where the people look just like me, there's still going to be a hierarchy that we have to follow, because it's the human nature. But I mean, you find out a lot when you travel to these places. You're like, well, And then in some places you're like, well, I can't wait to get back home too.
Yeah.
Like,
It is a huge eye opener to go
Yeah.
to another country, regardless where that is. You know, it is something that needs to be on everybody's radar, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. So.
All right, guys. Thank you for listening.